Hi writers, I'm trying to find a spot without words on my face. We are gonna move from persuasive writing into what I think will be very fun for you guys. We're gonna do a little bit of creative writing. Now, creative writing can be tricky because sometimes when somebody says write a story, you think to yourself, what do I write about? So this chapter in our grammar book is gonna help us brainstorm and kind of create a plan so that we know where to go when we sit down with a blank sheet of paper to come up with a creative story. So we are going to start, have your grammar book in front of you. I'm going to start on page 135 that says quotation marks at the top. Once you have that out, we're going to follow along together. When we are doing creative writing, we're definitely going to have characters, and our characters are going to speak in the story. So we are going to need to show that they are speaking. So we are going to be talking about quotation marks today. Now, if you look with me in the yellow box, quotation marks show the exact words a speaker says. So if you look here, we can see that Marcos in this sentence, he says, open the door. Marta says, yes, let's see what's inside. And Melanie asks, will it be scary? So you notice in this sentence here, the quotation marks are all in blue. And there's one at the beginning when the person starts speaking, and there's a set at the end to show that they have finished speaking. This page also tells us that we're going to separate a quotation from the rest of the sentence with a comma. Sometimes the quotation will come before. So if you notice here, we have our quotation marks. I would love to go. Then we have our comma before our quotation marks end, and then we have said Jamie. In this sentence, who is speaking comes first. So it says mother asked, then the comma, then we have our quotation marks. Don't worry, we're going to practice this in a minute. Then it tells us do not use a comma after the quotation mark if the quotation ends with an exclamation point or a question mark. So if you need to note in your writing, whether it's a question or an exclamation, we're not going to use the comma. So look at these examples. Me too, Caleb shouted. Oh, Mr. Caleb. So since someone is shouting and not just saying something, instead of the comma, we're going to use whatever the mark is to indicate how they're speaking. In this case, it's an exclamation mark. And then Dad asked, are you sure? And there's a question mark there instead of the comma. I'm going to slide my paper up here. Can we still see that? Yes, good. Okay, so it says, we place quotation marks at the beginning and end of the speaker's words. We capitalize the first word inside of the quotation marks. This is important because we do this even if it's in the middle of a sentence. We place an ending comma, exclamation mark, or question mark inside the closing quotation marks. So these three things here kind of just review everything we went through in those sentences above. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice this together, and then you'll have a chance to practice on your own. So I'm going to slide my paper up a little bit more here. Bear with me. Thank you for being patient, friends. Just want to check that we can see that all together. Good. Okay. So the first one, the directions say underline the speaker's words that should have quotation marks around them. So all we're doing right now is underlining what the speaker is saying. The first one, I'm moving to a new town, said Lisa. I would normally call on you guys, but you're not here, so just shout to your TV. I miss you. Okay, here we go. So the first one, I'm moving to a new town, said Lisa. What did Lisa say? I'm moving to a new town. All I'm doing right now is underlining because that's what the directions said. Where are you going? Asked Colby. What did Colby ask? Where are you going? Lisa said, I'm going to Elko, Nevada. That sounds like a long trip. Ooh, sorry, my screen is glitching, but it'll stop in a second. Alrighty, and then we'll miss you, said Colby. So nice. What did Colby say? We'll miss you. All right, now we have a different set of directions for the next few problems. It says use a caret with the quotation marks to place quotation marks around the speaker's words in each sentence. I'm going to change these directions just a tiny bit. We're not going to worry about doing the caret. We're just going to add the quotation marks. So, Mrs. Ferris said, let's have a party for Lisa. What did Mrs. Ferris say? Let's have a party for Lisa. So, I should have my my beginning quotation where she starts speaking, and my end where she finishes talking. The party will be a surprise, she said. So what did she say? The party will be a surprise. My first one goes at the front. Now, the second one, remember, we keep that comma inside, so it goes right behind the comma. Can we bring presents? Asked Erica. Put it at the beginning. And remember, should I put it before the question mark or after? After. And since it's a question, we had the question mark instead of a comma. Quentin asked, will there be cake and ice cream? What did he say or ask? He said, will there be cake and ice cream? Sounds like a fun party. I want to go. That's a good idea, said Mrs. Ferris. So, what did Mrs. Ferris say? That's a good idea. Remember, it goes after the comma. All right, I'm going to flip this paper over to the back. This is the part that you are going to work on your own. So it says underline the speaker's words that should have quotation marks around them. So this is just the same as the front. Remember, all you're doing for the first 4 is underlining. For 5 through 12, it says, place quotation marks around the speaker's words in each sentence. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the front. You can just cross off the caret. Don't worry about that. Just do the quotation marks. So you're going to do that for 5 through 12. And then, yes, you do have to do the applying right. It says, Walter Rabbit and Cecil Chipmunk are talking about their favorite foods. Write what they might say to each other. Use quotation marks to show what each speaker says. I would like 2 sentences from you in this part. 1 for Walter Rabbit and 1 for Cecil Chipmunk. Once you do that, you can send a picture if you want, or you can just put it in your folder to bring back next Friday. If you have any questions, let me know.